In this video, we are going to show how to integrate routing services with Microsoft Azure's cloud offering using Intercloud Fabric Director. Here I'm showing the login screen. I'm going to log in as admin with the password that was configured during the install. The first step is to go to the Intercloud ICF Cloud menu option. In this demonstration, I have two tunnels already set up to two cloud providers. One is Amazon and the other is Azure. To add integrated routing services, we highlight the Azure tunnel, click on Manage Services, and then select ICF Router. Once we hit Submit, a service request is initiated, and we can go to Organizations, Service Requests to check on the status. Once the service request has completed, the next step is to check on VLANs and networking for integrated routing. To do this, we go to Intercloud Network, click on Port Profiles, and verify that the VLAN you want to use in the cloud for routing is listed. In this example, we are going to use VLAN 6. VLAN 6 is defined in our VM Manager as a VM network, but does not have a gateway on our local switch within the private cloud. Next step is to go to Prime Network Services Controller and configure our integrated routing services. By going to Intercloud Infrastructure menu, we can click on the Launch PNSC button. Logging into PNSC is used using the admin and password that was defined during the install. The next step is to configure interfaces on the integrated router for the VLANs we want to route within the public cloud. To do this, we go to Resource Management and Manage Resources, ICF Cloud, and then click on Edge Router, and then Edit. We can now define the network interfaces to be used within the integrated router. By clicking on Add Interface, we can define the configuration. The first interface is going to be a public-facing connection out to Azure Cloud so that our VMs can use the cloud provider's internet. Once we hit Apply, the configuration is updated. Next, we're going to create an interface for VLAN 6. This is going to be the VLAN that we will assign VMs to that do not have a local gate block. Next, we will define an interface for VLAN 6. The gateway for VLAN 6 will be on the integrated router. Here we now have two interfaces. One, the public-facing connection out to Azure's public cloud to connect to the internet for our VMs. In order for VMs on VLAN 6 to connect back to our VMs and other networks within the private cloud, we need to forward packets through a VLAN that's traversing between the private data center and the public cloud. By clicking on Add Interface, I now am going to define a VLAN 4 that is traversing between the private and public cloud. This VLAN 4 has a gateway in the private cloud and therefore will be used to route traffic between the public cloud provider and the private cloud. Notice here I'm using a 10.4.1.40 address. This address basically is an unused address within the VLAN 4 network. What's going to happen here is the integrated router is going to proxy traffic for the 10.4.1.1 gateway that is located within the private cloud. This is how network traffic is going to traverse from the public cloud within Azure to the private cloud. Also notice that the Use as Default Gateway is not checked. To do this, we go to Policy Management, and then Service Policies. Under Service Policies, we click on Policies, Routing. The first static route we will add is pointing to the 10 network with a /8 Cedar block. The next hop IP address will be the 10.4.1.40 IP that was configured as an interface off the integrated router. This IP address belongs to VLAN 4, which will then get forwarded to the local gateway of VLAN 4 10.4.1.1, which is located on the private cloud. Once we've added the static route, we can hit Save. Once this configuration is saved, the next step is to log into our local router within the data center or our private cloud. Here I show that there is not a VLAN 6 locally connected on this Edge Layer 3 switch. This switch goes to a default router which goes out to the internet to the Azure cloud. In order to get to the 6th network, which is on VLAN 6 on the integrated router in Azure, we have to configure a static route. I've done so already by configuring a static route pointing to the 10.6.1.0 network, which is the address space we assigned to VLAN 6 in Azure, and it's pointing to the 10.4.1.40 address, which is that VLAN 4 IP address specified on the interface for VLAN 4 on the integrated router. The gateway 10.4.1.1 is locally connected. From here, I can ping 10.1.40 through VLAN 4, and therefore, with the route that was just added, I can ping 10.6.1.1. Here we can add rules for this NAT policy. In this case, I'm going to do a dynamic NAT, and the IP address I'm going to use is going to be a IP within the VLAN 6 range. How I know this IP address is based on the pool that I configured within Intercloud Fabric Director for assignment of VMs that are going to be allocated on VLAN 6 within the Azure cloud. If this is done via DHCP, you will obviously need to look that up within your server to find out what the address is. It's recommended you have a static IP if you want the NAT to be consistent. Here we specify if we want it to be a static or dynamic NAT. In this case, I'm going to pick dynamic, and the interface. The interface name is going to be what we configured in the integrated router interface at the beginning of the video. Once we hit OK, we hit OK again. Here we have our policy defined. The next step is to define this policy within a policy set, which then gets applied to the integrated router. Once this policy is defined, we can now go to Policy Management, Service Profiles, go to Edge Router, and then Device Service Profiles. Here we see the VLAN 6 NAT policy set. Once we select that, we can hit Save. And to check this configuration has been updated, we can go to Resource Management, then click on the Management Resources, IC Cloud, and we can see here that the Edge router is running. We can also see the config status has been applied. If we click on that, we can see the latest applied configuration to this integrated router. This concludes this tutorial on how to configure integrated routing within Intercloud Fabric Director.